10:30. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining the meeting today. The technical committee calling the meeting to order, and Jen has taken the attendance, and we have a quorum, and so we can officially start the meeting. And everybody has an agenda that Jen sent before. Public comment. Have you received any requests?
I have not.
Okay, so no public comments. Approval of minutes from the March 19th meeting. I don't know if everybody got a chance to read it yet. And if anybody have any questions, comments, and ready for motion for approval. Anybody interested making a motion? Okay, Luke. Any seconds?
Thank you, Ryan.
Okay, thank you. And okay, what's that? What's that? All right, somebody, questions? Okay, none. So everybody who in favor of this, raising your hands if you're on camera, or say your name if you're on the phone. You're on the committee, okay. Anybody opposed? Seeing none. So minutes approved for the March 19th meeting. Next on the agenda is the approval of the draft FY 2022 to 2026 TIP for the 30-day public review publication and review. And I'll turn that over to Jen. Yeah, this is kind of an annual one of the major tasks. And our details, appreciate input, information that many of you here have provided in the last few weeks, and a lot of very important information for the charting the course for next few years. So Jen?
Okay, thanks. I'm going to share my screen such as it is. Hang on just a moment while I do that. Here we go. All right. Are people seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Earlier this week, you all got a mailing of PDF of the partial tip. This, as I mentioned at the time, I was still adding new information, and then as of, I think it was Wednesday or Tuesday, guess what? Thanks to Bob, we had the state program to add in. So the draft that you got explicitly didn't include a lot of the tables and charts and so on and the annual breakouts, because I was trying to integrate the stuff from the new release from the state. So that having been said, I am going to stop sharing for a moment as soon as I can figure out where to do that. There we go. And move to a different document, which is the numbers as of, hang on a sec, sharing again. Okay. All right. So these are our constrained annual funding numbers. And as you will see, when we added in the District 5 projects, particularly with respect to federal funds being used, it's a huge change between the chart on the left, which was just the local sources, and the chart on the right, which is the local sources plus our friends at District 5 and their allocation. And as you can see, the local share or the local amount remains the same, but the amount coming out of federal dollars almost but not quite triples. So that's an enormous change. And I'm still putting together the final charts on that will go into the final document, but this is the overall. And then just to break this down a little bit further, so that's the constrained. This is the comparison of the unconstrained, in other words, the 5-year funding, including illustrative projects. Once again, the local amount remains the same in dollars, but the use of federal dollars goes way, way up when we start talking about the illustrative programs, because basically we say, this is what we hope to do, but we're not there yet. So once again, I'm going to stop sharing. And I think that's it for the visual aids. The one thing I'd like you to notice in the, I'm going back and forth between sharing and not, so it's driving me crazy, not to mention all of you. So in the draft that I sent earlier, I guess it was, I don't know, Monday or Tuesday, we also have information for Connect Transit. We have some, but not all of Showbus, which I will deal with. This is all the sort of early boilerplate stuff. So here's Connect, freshly received from Brady Lang. Thank you very much, Brady. We appreciate your help. We'll fix the pagination here now that I have other things to put into it. Showbus is basically the same information. We're going to pull this out of their most recent grant application for 5311, and we'll update this afternoon, so we'll go in one piece. Basically, our 5310 programs are all either moribund. The adult daycare from Broman, now that Carl has taken over, we've never heard from them. So basically, it's a blank space. We'll fill in an explanation for that. I have the appendices here. To the extent that they are completable at this stage, obviously we don't have the minutes of meetings that won't take place until a month from now. The various and sundry notices will go in as well as the certificates of publication. So this is pretty much as far as it can go at this point. This afternoon, I will be completing all those lovely tables and charts of the annual program amounts and the pie charts that go with them. And we will have this ready to go on Monday. I'll send everyone the PDF on Monday. We plan to publish on Tuesday. And that will be the beginning of our 30 days, and it will run through our up until the June 25th policy committee meeting, which will be preceded a week earlier by the technical committee meeting, which, as always, will include a public hearing on the TIP. And obviously, in the 30 days, in the time period preceding that, we'll be posting this, sending out Facebook notices, doing whatever we can do. There's going to be a publication notice in the paper / online through the Panagraph on Tuesday as well. So all of that will go forward in its usual fashion. Does anyone have any questions? Let me stop sharing this completely pointless screen for the moment. There we go. Any questions? Any reservations or comments?
Hey, Jennifer, this is JD.
Yeah.
And I was going to bring this up a little later in the agenda, but I thought, well, it might be a good point to bring it up here. And I apologize, I haven't really looked at the document too much yet. But we've been hearing a little bit from different MPOs on the COVID relief funds, that each of the MPOs got an allotment. And so my question is, are there COVID relief funds identified for projects in this?
Yes.
Okay.
Bloomington Normal and the county have all allocated their funds, and they're identified. And I'm still putting this together, but we have a sort of a 5-year by fund chart, which I have, but I haven't had a chance to double check this morning. So those are definitely included.
Okay. So are there specific projects that those are going towards in there?
Yes. For the city of Bloomington, it's going into Hamilton Road. Brian, remind me on the town. I have so many numbers floating around in my head. You guys are going with which again?
West College Avenue from Rivian to White Oak Road.
And same thing. Luke, if you could remind me what the COVID money for the county is going for?
Yeah, I think we're using it on the Town Line Road, Section B.
Yeah, okay. And those are in there, JD. I just don't have the memory I used to, but they've all been entered in there specific to the project, obviously the funding, but also to the project in the year. So that's in the overall list that was sent out earlier this week. Actually, the most recent version, I think, was sent out yesterday of the project list as a whole, and that's where the COVID relief money is identified project by project, and then it's compiled into, all those various charts and tables, but we do have it in there. Anybody else?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, JD, do you want us to kind of call it out somehow, or I don't know if maybe it's already with that?
It's not, but we like color coding around here, so I can happily do that if you like, whichever your preference is.
Yeah, would that
that's not necessary. I don't think it was just a matter of, we're starting to hear chatter, if you will, from different MPOs about how they're going to select projects for the COVID relief or how they're going to use those funds. And I just thought this was a good time for me to ask you guys if you thought about it, and it sounds like you have. So that's good.
We had a conversation about this, whenever the funding first was announced, and everyone sort of, made a decision about how they were going to use it, up against the project totals for all of these. I think it's a relatively small sum, but of course, every little bit helps, and everyone has made a decision. So we're good on that.
Yeah, Jennifer, I'd like to make a correction. The COVID relief funds, I think Jerry did put it on the Danvers Houghton Road, the MC dash.
All right. Whatever he sent me is
thank you.
Document.
That's what I was double checking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Jerry was actually the first to get back to me on that. This is so often the case. So we do have that. And again, I've got it from each of the 3 local jurisdictions on how they decided to allocate it and where. And there we are. JD, is there anything else that's sort of problematic in terms of shiny new funding or things that are changing that we should be aware of? I think we've covered everything, but just in case.
Yeah, nothing that I'm aware of.
Okay, good. I don't hear the chatter apparently, so I never know what's out there. Okay, anything else? Let me just make sure I've covered the basics here in terms of what we have. As I said, as soon as I've got the mechanics of the various chunks of the document all assembled, I'll send you all a new PDF, or maybe a PDF in parts, because it does get rather voluminous. The one thing I will not have as of Tuesday are the annual maps. I have a map from Bob for the state projects, but or the data for a map. What I don't have are the 5 annual elements in map form, because my map person left. We have 2 new people coming on shortly, but they're not here yet. So I'm going to ask Lauren Gibson to give me a hand with that. Probably by the end of next week, if Lauren has time, we'll get those up and do a separate announcement on our website and on Facebook and so on, saying, hey, there are maps now, come take a look, and add that into our regular folks. Don't you want to tell us what you think of this kind of query? So I think
got a question, Jen.
Sure, go ahead.
And Bob, this is kind of a question for you on the kind of the individual projects. Looking at the Business 51 Main Street, I was thinking at one time we had adjusted that project, the north limits from College Avenue to Gregory Street. Is that still the case? Maybe the tip, and I can't remember if we actually did a tip amendment last year to adjust that or not.
I don't think so.
Right. Okay. You're talking about Business 51, and let's see. Let me pull it up here. Okay, you're wanting what? I'm sorry, Ron, but what's the question exactly?
Sure. I was thinking at one point we had adjusted the northern limits of that. Right now in the draft that's shown, it says College Avenue, and I was thinking we had changed that up to Gregory, adjusted the northern limits of the project.
Okay. As far as I know, whatever we're showing in the draft is going to be what the limits are.
Okay. Is that maybe a Scott question?
Can we check on that?
Recall,
at some point, we did get a confirmation that it was going to be extended further to the north. And the same thing was, Kevin let me know, is that still the case? There was a change for Bloomington as well, moving it down from Olive Street further south. So this came up.
Well, I remember us discussing up to Gregory. So yeah. I'll make a point I'll check with Scott Nyhart and Avery Gore. She's our programming engineer now, and
Okay.
say, because in case they ask me, what's the primary reason we'd want to go further north?
Sure. The primary reason is just to complete the multimodal improvements up through essentially ISU's campus. The northern limits of campus is Gregory Street, and that would tie in a lot of things, including their new engineering campus.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and let them know, and that's up. I'll go ahead and give me your name in case they want to talk to you about it.
Sure. This is Ryan Otto, Bob.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
I had a question just now from Dan McGee. Ryan, can you remind me where the that portion, first of all, in what year, but I'm assuming it's this coming year, but where the project with the COVID money in it is? Because it's looking like I may not have caught that. Let's see. And if that's the case, I will catch it. It's weird because it's coming up in the sort of consolidated columns and stuff. It's in there somewhere. I'm just not seeing it. Or Dan isn't seeing it, and it may simply be that it didn't get into the funding detail. And I can fix this later on. You and I can talk later and make sure I've got it in the right place. It's coming out somewhere, but Dan's not seeing it in the project list. So if you can just give me a call or an email later on.
Yep. No, I'll do that. Thanks for pointing that out, Dan.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. It may simply not be listed in the funding detail, and it's just folded into the actual funding sources. So we'll find that and fix it and make sure it's called out. Anything else?
Yeah, this is Wayne. Just for everyone's information, we've included the complete funding for the Uptown Underpass. We're calling it Uptown Connector now. So just got the complete funding picture put together right before the tip here. But so we've included the $13 million of build grant that we got in 2019, I believe. And then also using Section 130, the rail highway crossing safety funds. And thanks to our friends at the state and FHWA for helping with that. So we got $3 million of that approved for use on this project as well. So $16 million of federal funds for the project. And then on the state or the matching side, the Illinois Commerce Commission has received approval to use in their program. I think it was about $75 million of Rebuild Illinois funds. So of that, we got $5 million for this project. And still from the ICC, we have $1.25 million of grade crossing protection funds. So we still have to get approval for use of those funds in our overall project budget by the FRA, but we feel that we can justify that. So it's nice to say finally we've got all the funding picture for that project, and thanks to all our funding partners at the state and the feds for helping accomplish this. So we'll hopefully start design phase 2 this fall on that project.
Again, we share your thanks to everyone who's made it possible for all of this to be assembled, and yet another enormous project in Uptown to see the light of day and get pushed forward. The funding there is basically across a 3-year time period in which various chunks of that are laid out, and the sort of the big ticket item in 2024, the project total of $14 million and change. Really is sort of the apotheosis of Uptown Station.
Yeah, Dan has your hand up, right? Yeah.
Oh,
Dan.
sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Hello. I would just, since we were talking about the build grant for normal, a new round of build came out yesterday. They're calling it RAISE now.
Yes.
and it's in circular letter 2021-16. I looked on the IDOT website just now, and it's not there, but we got that yesterday in our emails. So I'm hoping it hits the website soon. But it'd be something that you guys could look into for some new funding.
Yeah, we actually started kind of the 9 o'clock intergovernmental meeting discussion, looking into what would be a good ideas. I had a meeting conflict, so Jan was at that meeting at the 9 o'clock earlier. But yeah, thanks for bringing it up. One question, actually, Dan, I was wondering if there's a project like Main Street, if there's something like for either MPO or local municipality or municipalities, is it possible to like partner with the state because we don't own Main Street? I'm just using that as an example. Has it been done before? Is that possible? Would IDOT entertain something like this?
I don't know that answer. It'd be something that Stefan sent it out yesterday to us. So it's something I can ask back to them, but you can also ask that same question. I thought they said they had an open meeting they were going to sponsor or host. That'd be a great question for that. And I can ask that question early.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, just wondering because there's some, like even the traffic safety, I mean the Go Safe project or the Vision Zero projects that we recently got adopted, and some of the roads involved owned by the state, but if there could be some kind of partnership and then looking at local jurisdictions with the state, that actually would alleviate some of the financial burden of the state if we can get some federal money on certain projects. So
okay, I'll ask the question.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Dan.
Yep.
Yeah. Dan, Ray and I were both on the Fed's presentation yesterday, the online thing yesterday afternoon, and Taylor Long from the town of Normal was too. And our intergovernmental meeting, as Ray was saying this morning, was a discussion about possible ways of putting together partnerships for projects using the RAISE grant. Obviously, we want to get moving on this because it's a pretty tight deadline. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Ray about this, so I'll do that. But there are several possibilities, and at least a couple would involve some sort of partnership with the state. And several of you who are here now as part of the technical committee were also involved in that discussion. So we'll kind of lay out the choices and try and get a discussion going over the next week or so to see if we've got a consensus on one or the other or more than one or whatever. It's complicated by the fact that there's a planning sector to this now that there didn't used to be with Build and Tiger. So we're looking to see what we want to do in terms of that kind of breakout, and then look at the implementation, the infrastructure part as a separate entity. Anyway, we'll go over that and we'll get back to you guys, and I'll look forward to seeing the circular letter and checking the website for that. And let's hope that, all that money sloshing out across the country, some of it comes here. Any other comments or questions on the tip? Basically, and we've done this in the past, I'll finish putting it together. The idea is to publish it next Tuesday, for which I need a vote, by the way, on the item 5 on the agenda. And as I said, because of the timeline, we've done this before where I just tell you, here are the pieces, I'll put them together, and I'm going to ask you to trust me, which we've also done in the past. So unless someone objects, Ray, if we can move forward on getting a vote taken on item 5, please.
Okay, thank you. No further questions, comments on item 5. Any other items anybody want to raise to the attention of the group for discussion or anything? Okay, seeing none. So next meeting.
I'm sorry, Ray, but we need a vote on item 5.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So no further comments on item 5. Anybody want to make a motion?
This is approval for.
Okay, Luke, make motion in second.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, Kim. Oh, okay, either.
Yeah.
All right.
Dan first, I think.
All right. All those in favor, please raise your hand or say your name if you're on the phone. Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you all.
All right, any opposed? Seeing none, it has been approved. Okay, good. And so we'll move on to that public publication and all the public review things we have to do, and then set a public hearing for next month, and then yeah, gotta go from there. All right, item number 6 on our agenda. Anything anybody want to raise for discussion or information or anything? All right, seeing none. That's all we have for today. Our next scheduled meeting will be June 18th for the technical. And like I said, there will be a public hearing at that meeting for the TIP. And if there's no other issues, items to discuss, and I'll entertain motion to adjourn. Okay, Ryan and Dan. Thank you. All in favor, please raise your hand or say your name if you're on the phone. All right, opposed? Good. It's all good. We'll have a great, wonderful weekend.